Hi guys, welcome to another video. This is Yuletide Greetings Part 2 and we are inking. So in this video I'm kind of changing things up a little bit. We've got a bit more of a fancier frame because it's a holiday episode. You get to see my art setup. If you like this, let me know in the comments. I'm always constantly thinking about how to shift up my layout and how to change my filming to make it more user-friendly and easier to see what's going on and all that jazz. So please, if you've got any comments or any criticism or feedback, please let me know in the comments. Everybody knows the internet's full of opinions, so please lay yours out. But today we are inking the drawing that I did not yesterday but 2 days ago. So my mother-in-law came to visit yesterday. It was a big surprise and not the most pleasant as mother-in-laws can be. And so yesterday was kind of a recovery and panic trying to film what I could. But so today's video is just a little bit late, a little bit behind on the schedule, but it is a-okay. At the end of the day, we're here, we're chilling, and that's it. Strap in for a lot of line work. This video is pretty much jam-packed. I think I barely had to cut anything out. Inking is one of my favorite steps. Once you've got your line drawing figured out and you know how you like it, and you're just laying down ink, it just feels good. And maybe that's because of how little detailing and texture work I like to do, or maybe that's just a quirk of how I like to function, but I just find inking so satisfying. So I think today we are starting with the candles. I'll kind of start at the bottom and work my way up as we go. And it's been a fun process. I really have appreciated the journey here. The experience of recording new videos, the jam-packed schedule of editing and voiceover and futzing with all the different templates and pieces that you can put into a video, trying to figure out what's too much, what's not enough. It's been an interesting journey, and it's been a heck of an adventure, and I can't wait to make a tradition of this, to make this how I express myself and deal with the frustration and stress in my life. I'm dealing with a lot. I have everything to do with putting this together and the skill behind it and the development that it takes to be able to maintain an art channel that's mine. I do a large portion of the processing for these videos. My wife helps, but I do the voiceovers, I do the filming, I do a lot of the bigger, maybe less thought-intensive steps. And then I go and do my day job and help take care of the dogs and help keep the house clean, and it's a lot of things to do, and it's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of effort, and sometimes there's so much to get done that it's easy to forget that we need somewhere to put all of that. Because I don't think that my life is bad. I work hard. I work my butt off. I crash every night, and my head hits that pillow and I'm asleep instantly. My life is difficult, but the thing that decides whether or not it's bearable is how much I'm able to express myself about it. And my wife is a really great place to put that, but she has so much stuff that she brings to the table herself that she needs to put somewhere. And I think it's important for especially new couples to realize just how much you need to rely on each other and just how much you really do need your external support system. We moved, she moved across the country to come get to know me. We used to live in Utah, and at that time I was making just a little bit more because the schools out there pay more, but the bills were so much worse. And so we spent 2 years out there while I finished up my teaching degree. Teachers have to work for 3 years in the same place before they leave their probationary period. And so until you've completed that, you can't start making higher wages as a teacher. You get knocked back down to starting wages. And so it's really important before you start transferring states or even districts that you get that 3 years under your belt. And so we finished that, and then we moved out east. And we moved out here because we were under the impression we were going to have family support. So my wife has these friends she's had since middle school. They were her ride or die buddies. They have been hanging out with each other since middle school. To explain their relationship would take years, and it has, for me to fully understand the intricacies of the good and bad of everything that comes with those friends that she has. But the female friend we will call Susie. Susie is kind of one of those fair weather friends that is right there with you in the thick of it, wants to be a part of it, but only because they thrive on all the drama that's created by your suffering. And we were under the impression that Susie was suffering enough that she needed our help, desperately. And so we went, okay, our bills suck, your bills suck, but your place is big enough that we could split it and no one would have to deal with suckage in terms of the space, and we could recoup some of our costs and everybody would be happy. Sure, it was going to be a long commute for me, but we were willing to make a sacrifice for a dear friend. So we moved from Utah to Georgia with the understanding that this friend was where we were going to stay. We'd already been over there the previous year on a summer road trip. We'd gotten to see the place. We knew some of the problems that were there. We'd offer financially to help with it, but we needed them to manage organizing things. And we should have seen the writing on the wall. We call them. We're telling them, hey, we need to make sure all the bugs are gone, because they had fleas and they had cockroaches and they had all kinds of pests. They claimed it was because of previous tenants, and so we went, that's fine. Just get them out of there, clean it up, and we'll happily help pay for exterminators if that's what needs to happen. We just need to get it cleaned up before we show up with our 2 animals. So they kept going, oh yeah, we'll get it done. Oh yeah, and then claimed it was our fault for not putting up the money, but they wouldn't tell us how much it would be or who they had the contract with or what was going on, and then they wanted us to pay back their old bills with the exterminator. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So we're coming up on the last month beforehand, and we're contacting them. We're like, hey, how's it look? How's the house doing? What do you need help with? And once again, they're blowing us off, telling us everything's fine, they've got it handled, they're going to need my help around the house to tidy up the last few things, but they got it cleaned up for us. So we go. My parents helped us move. They packed up a U-Haul for us and drove it across the country. We drove our dogs and a very packed Honda Civic. And it took us 3 days. Hey guys, it's that time of the video where I remind you to like, subscribe, and if you're enjoying, hit the bell, share with a friend so that we can doodle and chill together every Friday for these new episodes. Thanks, and back to the video. 3 days of non-stop driving and sleeping in terrible, but way better than we thought we were going to get motels because my parents are lovely. And then we get there. It's worse. The fleas are worse than they were before. Before, it was bad in that by the time we'd spent 2 days there, we had fleas. This time when we went, it was so bad that walking in, we could see the hordes of fleas on their poor dogs. Silver dollar-sized splotches of brown on otherwise tan and cream-colored dogs. There were so many. And then they showed us to our room. The one we'd ignored when we came to visit, because why would you go into the room just past the kitchen? We're not messing around in your pantry. It turns out that wasn't a pantry. Attached to their kitchen was a little hollow core door that had been chop-sawed down the middle and had one of those little frog enclosures, the little hook that falls into the loop that means the door rattles back and forth all the time and there's a crack through it that you can see through. That was our door. And it went to a decent-sized bedroom. It was probably a 15 by 15 foot with a big old wardrobe and an armoire and about 6 inches of cobwebs everywhere. It was freshly cleaned by the 12-year-old 3.5 months ago, at least, when she left to go live with her dad for a while to get away from the bugs. And that was their idea of preparing for us. And we spent the night. We had been sleeping on a futon mattress because it was too expensive to get something nicer. We threw that on the floor in the bedroom. We laid out my quilt. I regret doing that terribly, but we laid out my quilt that I'd made when I was 18. It was my graduation present. My parents helped me to make a big old jean quilt.
You need to shush.
It was a queen size quilt. It was glorious. It was felt lined on the back. It was orange and red corduroy splotches all over. It was gorgeous. And a couple of pillows. And we set that up in the room. We brought in our electronics so they didn't freeze overnight. So an Xbox and a bucket full of computer parts, because I had a desktop, and so my keyboard and monitor and all that crap were in there. Just to get it out of the elements. We had probably 4 boxes in addition to our mattress and bedding that we brought in. My wife did not sleep. She spent the night being covered in crawling cockroaches and creatures climbing underneath the blankets, and just being grateful that one of us had managed to sleep enough that we would be able to think tomorrow. We spoke to her friend in the morning because that night had just been unpacking and getting the info dump of the century from her man-thing, who was explaining to us all the ways in which he was going to have me be his handyman buddy, which I'm very handy. I am not interested in rewiring the laundry machine plugs in your laundry room. No, thank you, sir. You can pay an electrician for that. No, so that night had been spent just gushing about all the repairs we were going to do, and it's going to be so cool and so awesome, and just a lot of red flags coming up. And so in the morning we went and talked to her because he'd already gone off to work, and we're like, look, we got to go see our parents and figure out what to do with the stuff. We don't think this place is going to work. This is terrible. This is bad conditions. You can't keep your kids in this. I mean, we didn't say it, but I'm a mandatory reporter as a school teacher. If you're going to keep kids in those conditions in my presence, if I'm following all the rules and regulations, it doesn't matter that they're not my students. I'm supposed to report that I'm seeing this clear and obvious child abuse going on. And so we were trying everything we could to say, please let us talk to my parents. The beauty of having sort of semi-loaded parents is that sometimes they can work baby miracles. And we're like, please let me just leverage my connections. They're here. They can help us now. Let's see if we can't find a place in the area that can fit us. You can keep your kids at their parents' houses for like 2 more months until the school year starts. And by then, we'll have saved up enough that we can get an actual place. Because, I mean, to explain to you just how messed up this house was, they spent $3,000 in grants that she got for having cancer to cover her bills. They used all 3 of that grand to pay off their water bill, which had accrued over the course of 3 months. 2 months later, they had not been able to make any payments on their water bill, and it was back up to $1,800. Whoever had plumbed their home had done it personally, without a license, and definitely without any knowledge of what they were supposed to be doing. 1 toilet in a house with 5 of them worked. We had not used any of them because we would rather pee outside than use a toilet that involved sitting with our pants down where the cockroaches could get into them. Or going into the child's bedroom where the litter box is that hasn't been changed since before Susie got cancer. At least since then. And so we went and talked to my parents. We spent the afternoon with them. We were really worried and confused and not sure what to do. My parents were saying, look, man, if your friends suck, they suck, ditch them. Take care of yourself. And we were trying to do the right thing. We were trying to take care of our buddies, because that was the whole reason we'd come over was, yes, we wanted to be closer to my wife's family and friends, but we wanted to help out. And my parents got us a hotel room that night so we wouldn't have to go back, and we called the guy over to talk to him so we wouldn't be making Susie come out with her cancer, and, you know. And he made it clear they can only do what they're doing. They can only do what they're already doing. This is the only thing we've got. This is all we can figure out. So if this doesn't work for you, find something else. And we tried to lay out our position. We tried to lay out what we thought we could make happen. We tried to lay out what my parents had done for us. And he said he would talk to his woman, and we'd figure it out in the morning. We'd come by and talk to him. By the morning, we'd received a message, don't come back. We can't have a space in their home anymore. This is not our place to live. Get lost. We'll send you your stuff. We made some choices. We decided to drive up there. We sent a couple of text messages like an hour in advance saying, hey, this is the time we're coming up. We're grabbing our stuff. We are not leaving my computer and our Xbox and our electronics with you, because that was all they had. And they were not keeping them. And they had my TV, because we brought it up so we had something to sleep to. And you're not keeping that stuff. So, in one of the scarier moments of my life, I wasn't worried about him. He had been a real chill guy. He'd been real laid back and real relaxed. But I walked into their house, They'd left the door open. Like, the door was ajar. It wasn't even just unlocked. It was ajar. So I assumed they'd gotten my message and left it open for me. They were hollering in the back, so I opened the door, poked my head in, and said, "Hey, I'm just walking through to grab my stuff, and I'm getting out. We understand we're not welcome. We're just getting our stuff and getting away." And that lady came down the hallway so fast. I swear to God, she made it to the other side of the home before I could finish emptying my bladder. All over that side room. I hope it stinks in there. No, she got to me by the time I'd already gotten into the room. I had my TV and I had my cooler. And I looked her dead in the eye. Like, I had this shield in front of my body, and I looked her in the eye and I said, "This is my stuff. I am taking it and I am leaving. That is all that is happening here." She told me to get out. She chased me out through the side door. She locked it behind me, slammed the doors. Like, really upset. And I don't blame her. But you're gonna tell me I can't have a place to live with you the day after I've moved across the country? I'm working in another state? You can bet your butt I'm getting my stuff. And we knew the cops weren't going to come up there. The cops weren't going to go up there to save their lives. They were not going up there to help escort us to get us our stuff, and there wasn't room for them if we wanted them to. And so I took the stuff I'd managed to grab down to the car. We stood there for a few minutes while he and Susie screamed it out for about 5 minutes. And then he came out on the porch and said, "You're safe to come in." I grabbed the rest of my stuff. And that is how my wife said goodbye to her best friend of 20 years. Because we didn't know how to love. We didn't know how to be good friends. We didn't know how to be there for her in the way that she wanted. And stuff like that has followed me my whole life. It's a lot. But I want to thank you for being here with me for it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.